That didn't seem like a song that Sean would have picked.
I
So I
hear the
think we have.
waves of the ocean. When I think of waves of the ocean, I think of Rob Gill, because he always has that saying, coming in like the waves of the ocean. They just keep coming. They just keep coming.
I don't know if Sean like dropped his laptop in the ocean right now. Kind of looks like it. Sean, are you with us?
Sea urchins in there, so you just want to be really careful. Had a few sea urchins.
I hear him in the distance. So how are you doing this morning? Good morning, Bella. Good morning, Andres. I know we're going to be kicking it off here in just a minute. And Bella, do you have any idea where that song could have came from this morning?
I might have an idea. Somebody might have said, Bella, pick the morning song. And if there's anything I'm kicking off my morning to, it is definitely Katy Perry.
That's incredible. Awesome.
I am all things Katy Perry.
I mean, what can go wrong when you start your morning roaring? Just roaring.
Exactly. And like, I am a champion. Because like, even thinking about like what was being discussed, you know, on our morning call is like, you know, I am a champion because I heard, you know, Sean speaking into you, Andreas, around like possibility. And I know he actually wanted to like talk about that on the morning huddle. So while we're waiting for Sean, like, let's lean into Andreas, because that's like what I inspired that song is like, roar, like I am a champion, like you're gonna hear me roar. And I heard Sean speaking that into you today. Like, what was like as you were hearing Sean, like what was present for you?
Yes, thank you for that. I mean, what a powerful morning. And Sean mentioned it. He said it's talking about our skill set and our rise in our skill set and how that shapes our reality. Mm-hmm. And all that came about when he asked me like 4 months ago, Andres, like 4 months ago, how, and looking at where you're at today, and you look at your skill set and you look at your certainty, how many times more, like how many, like multiply, like what has been the difference between 4 months ago and now? Like, what's the difference? Like, how much better are you at going from hello to yes at your skill, at your certainty? And it's like 10 times better. And it's just how your skill set dilutes and distort your ability to create the outcomes you want. Recreate these stories about our ability to do things and focusing in on increasing that certainty and increasing that skill set. It shapes our reality and what we're capable of. So that, I mean, that in itself is just massive
yeah.
How you rise.
And like, what was he speaking into around, you know, like what Tony is like being paid coaching and like, you know, what he could see for you someday? Because like, I thought that was like super powerful, because the only limitations we have in this world are the limitations we place on ourselves.
Yes.
And as you speaking, like, what became possible for you this morning in that conversation?
Want to take this and I'll take that?
Yes, thank you. I mean, it was the possibility through the prism of the formula, like what the formula can create, and seeing that someone like Tony, you know, is not accepting people that are willing to pay him $1 million, you know, and they're just sitting there like because he doesn't have the time. You know, he doesn't have the time to serve so many people, and so you have to push people back, and you have all these people needing something, like wanting an acceleration of their money, time, and magic, and they're just sitting there. So what would happen if, as we rise in our skill set, as we rise in our certainty, what would happen when we're creating this mastery in all of us? It would be being able to service those people that want the impact, they want the acceleration, they want the rise from someone like Tony, you know. And this formula is creating like Tony Robbins all over the place. And so that is, you know, getting that access into, wow, like that's that's possible. And it seems wild, right? When he mentioned it, I was like, doesn't that just sound crazy? And it does. But it's real, because this formula is real, and that's why it became accessible to me. Like it is all in the realms of possibility because we have a formula.
Yes. And so based on that, like, where would you see yourself a year from now? Because I think, like, with practice, mastery, and Denise and I were talking about this last night, and
I would have at least Andres being on a sea bob in the ocean on Buck Island. But back to you. He'd have to be on a sea bob a year from now. But whatever else he's doing, he has to have been on a sea bob.
sea bob. And he's back.
What is
Do
a
you want
sea
me to
bob?
kick it back to you, Sean?
Wait, we weren't seeing the sea bob on the huddle?
No. What is a sea bob?
Nicole.
What? I had it on.
You guys weren't seeing the out in the ocean on the motorized vehicles that we were riding in the waves and all the stuff. We did not.
Oh yes, we saw that.
Okay, yes, that's the sea bob. So back to you guys. So, Andres, you have to be riding in the waves on Buck Island on a sea bob, but whatever else you want to be doing. So back to you, Bella and Andres. Good morning.
Good morning.
Amazing. So
yeah, what
I'm
became
be
like
sea bob in a year.
yeah, so sea bob, I'm like, through your practice mastery, because where you are today was not where you were 6 months ago, but through your practice mastery, and I was saying, Denise and I were talking about last night that the only reason we're not where we want to be is because we're not picking up the phone and making like 80 outbounds a day. Like, we are suboptimal in that practice mastery. And the only reason that any one of us is not exactly where we want to be is because of that practice mastery. Are we picking up the phone? 80 times a day? How many times are we reaching out for ecosystem mergers? Like, all of those things that actually take practice. And so, as Sean was speaking into you today, like where you were 6 months ago and the amazingness that you are today. And so, when you think about being another year in deep practice mastery, like Fernando's been in the past year, and you think about like this for yourself for the next year, like, what do you see as possible a year from now?
Oh my God. I mean, that opens up so much because we're always like high performance, like you and I and all of us here, like we strive for the best, and we have these visions, and we have, our dreams and where we're heading towards, and all of this, like all the, the zone action, the deep practice, it's all preparing us for that. And so, to be honest, like I have no idea. I have no idea where this is going to take me. But I know it's going to be in a place that I'm not just creating magic in my life, money, time, and magic in my life, but I'm creating that in thousands and thousands of people through this movement and through the collective rise of all of us. So it's duplicating what we're building here at Unblinded in a way that's impacting the entire world. And so it is. And as I think about that, and thank you for asking that question, because it's, I think of something that Sean mentioned this morning, like in retrospect, him looking at it, like just from where he's at to where he was before, as he was 27 years old, opening a new, like leaving, his dream job to open up a new law firm. And he says, in retrospect, it was easy. It was easy. But then I'm over here and thinking like, but then he added like, but I was scared. Like I was scared. I was going through the fears. I was telling myself stories. Like I was doing all these things. People thought I was crazy. And it's those same feelings that personally, speaking for myself, like I've faced, and we're facing every day.
And real quick on that note, Andres, real fast, I want to jump in. Not only did it become, looking back, easy, before he had started, he thought it was impossible. So it was completely 100 times. It was when you go from impossible to easy, I mean, it's infinity X, no pun intended. The results that were, thought even possible. So
first is interesting. I feel like I died and went to heaven as I'm laying here hearing everybody talk about me like I'm no longer here. Like I'm literally like sitting here, Tink, we're like just as we're in the last minutes on this island, right? Because of course, Bella Verita, I am unpacked and we're supposed to like an hour or less. And we just had to take the C-Bob out and go halfway to Tortola and back. But it is so true that our reality is distorted completely by our skill set. Our reality is distorted by our mastery of the formula. So we think it makes absolutely no sense, you know, Bella, if one was going to get a surgery, a serious surgery that would impact their life in an enormous way, Bella, would it make sense to get a second opinion? If somebody's like, hey, you know, God forbid somebody you love and care about needs spinal surgery, and they went to one doctor, would you agree that it would make sense to go get a second opinion?
Oh, 100%.
And every day, you out there, Mike Reeder, you know, Jeff, it makes sense for people to get a second opinion about your accounting services. It makes sense for people to get a second opinion about their money and financials from Rob Gill, Brian Ripple, Tatiana, right? And all the other fine folks out there. It makes no sense for them not to let you do a second review, give a second opinion. And yet all day long, we don't know how to ask people to have a sales meeting. We have discomfort. We don't, when it makes no sense. And you would say yes to the exact same thing. But our reality is distorted that it's actually hard because we lack we are lower in our self-influence and process mastery. So my reality was when I had that job, my reality was I was winning the game of life. I was winning the game at the highest level of money, time, and magic. And the reality is if I stayed in that same position for the next 9 years, I would have been living in an apartment. There's nothing wrong with living in an apartment, but I didn't want that. My Tyler, Courtney, and Emma, my children, would have been born in an apartment. And in 15 years, I might have been able to buy my first home. Instead, 2 years later, I had a beautiful primary residence and a beach house. And Tyler's first birthday was on the roof of the beach house. And that doesn't happen unless my reality changes and my skill sets rise. So my skill sets were at a certain place that I just thought reality was, this is how much money I can make. This is how much time I can have. And this is how much magic life can provide. And my skill sets were lying to me. You know, Andres, did you share the story of somebody holding an event to raise money for a charity and raising $0? Did you hear that yet?
No, I did not.
Yeah. So, you know, we're here in this island and somebody's telling the story, and Adam, you know, please drop in any moment. And they're telling a story. And remember, you know, I had the unique privilege of raising in a room with my platinum partnership brothers and sisters $1.7 million, but I was the guy in the microphone in 26 minutes for Operation Underground Railroad. So we're here and there's a conversation about an event that just happened. And in that event happening, it was people that by net worth, I am very confident had a higher net worth than the average platinum partner. So Tim Ballard went, incredible people went. It was extraordinary, beautiful, centimillionaires, decamillionaires, a couple billionaires, and a grand total of $0 was raised. Zero. So they did 95% of everything right. 95% of everything right. And they got nothing. And what the formula teaches us is those 1, 2, or 3 additional things do that would have raised $1 million, $2 million, $3 million in that room. And the difference wasn't $1 million versus $1,050,000. The difference wasn't $1 million versus 1.1 million. The difference was 0 or millions. What's there for you, Bella, around that?
I'll jump in too, Sean. You asked, well, the difference was the level of mastery in self, process, and influence, that's the difference. And we could assess where, like you said, 95% of it was done right. In that 5% of self, process, and influence, there were things that were very suboptimal, which ended up being the difference between millions of dollars raised and zero.
Yeah. And just
sorry, walked away.
Yeah, and just to drop in a reality, the reality is it's probably because somebody didn't know how to ask, didn't know
100%.
didn't know when to ask, didn't know what to do, didn't want to offend the people. And the reality is, I mean, for real, Bella, if you and I were on the microphone and we started having some fun and we started laughing and we made that group of Deca, Centa, and billionaires, 10 million and up, 100 million and up, and billionaires start laughing and we started doing our thing. And then on the microphone, it's like, listen, I don't have your kind of money, but, hey, this is Sean Callaghan. I'll go in for 50,000. Now, who can go in for 250? Let's start. Who wants to go in for 250? Come on. Like, dude, your private jet's gas. Like, we started doing that, having fun and laughing. Your private jet gas for the year. Like, you can't give a little girl and Tim Ballard, this action hero, you can't give him $250,000. Come on now. You spent $200,000 in that. Bella, does that dude's Rolex cost more than $250?
This sounds fun.
Right? And we started doing that. Do you think Bella could have raised $2 million in that room?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
And then, but they didn't know how. And I'm going to give you one more drop the mic moment. Then there was somebody here who's trying to get involved with Operation Underground Railroad, who, when we were going to sit down and talk to Tim, is like, oh, no. Tim's really, really busy. And, we don't really think there's time for that. And this is the very person who claims to be going to be following up with these people. That person doesn't have the ability to raise $25,000. And that's not ego. That's just reality. Because they don't have fun, aspirational goddess energy. And they got some Zeus energy that's like librarian, drill sergeant, like nagging teacher energy. And I'm being real right now. Adam, am I telling the truth?
You are telling the absolute truth. And I felt it directly.
Yeah. And that person has no idea what they're doing and actually asked me to coach them. And then blocked us from talking to Tim Ballard out of ego and significance. And then didn't, because Tim's like, what? That's crazy. And now, by the way, we're speaking at Operation Underground Railroad, 2 events they have coming up. And we won't publish it. I won't put it up online. I won't do anything because it's not about us. It's about helping. But you're going to face you when you look to book a speaking engagement. You, Patricia. You, Jack Tavares. You, Peter Swain. You, Anil Gupta. You, Joe Hagan. You, Rob Gill. You, Tatiana. You, Brian Ripple. You, Adriana. You're going to talk to people like that all, not a bad person, but they're just scared. And they want to control. And they have the 4 dark energies of leadership. They might have cheerleading. They might be afraid. They might be the nagging teacher. And by the way, I'll help this person still. I hope they're listening. They might be. And if you want my help, really, then take my help or get out of my way. Take my help or get out of the way because you don't know what you're doing. So, Adam, that's what integrity-based human influence does. Lean in and give a final on that point before we transition.
That integrity-based influence exposes the truth. Confrontation to move through without avoidance in those moments is absolutely a superpower, because when you think about if you do not move through those situations, what is the outcome? I mean, I don't want to make more of it than it really is, but it really is this impactful and powerful. Your ability to get up on stage and raise money for Operation Underground Railroad is not about the money that's being raised. It's the fact that they could put a price tag. They literally can say the amount of money that equals 1 saved person. And when you look at, what that means, like, again, it means everything. So that's final.
It's a gift because Bella, Andres, Diana, Gina, Lorelei, everybody here, when you talk to an organization president, like Lena introduced us to an amazing organizational president, ego, significance is all over the place. And what you need to do is you need to be able to detect, do you have a true leader or do you have an ego-driven, control freak, power-hungry person that's just lost? That's just a cry for help. It's not judging. It's a cry for help. So in their cry for help and their need for significance, right? In their need for significance, you've got to decide, can you lean in and get to the other side of it to help that organization, or do you move on? And do you move on to the other tens of thousands of organizations to help? But you need to know what that looks like. You need to know when you're facing that energy of significance that's going to block you all day long from creating the money, the membership, the engagement, the enrollment in an organization that you know when you master the form you can help. Brian Ripple might go to talk to an organization of lawyers in Florida. And that organization of lawyers might have some president whose cousin has his Series 7. And while Brian Ripple might have an unbelievable strategy and approach to money and the highest integrity imaginable, that person may try to block Brian. So Brian's either got to confront that person, open their listening, find somebody else, or move on to a different organization and come back. So because a person doesn't say yes, doesn't mean they don't need you. It doesn't mean the organization doesn't need you. It means their own ego may be afraid that Brian's going to be too powerful, too effective. And their political agenda, they're selfish. It's not political. Their selfish agenda. Their self-focused agenda, right? That self-focused agenda may disrupt the good and the benefit of the organization. Bella, final on this point.
Final on that is I don't know, I'm having a blank. I just, I think it just comes down to the practice mastery and everything, and with the significance itself is like, I have never seen someone disarm significance like you do. Like, I've never seen anything like it. And what I think is so powerful about the way that you disarm significance by like leaning into it, like leaning into the truth of what it is, like, hey, like, because I remember you, like, you tell me the story, like you tapped her on the shoulder and like, let's talk, let's lean into this. And the way that you lean into the truth around the significance and disrupt it with your crazy lightning bolts. But what that does, what I see it do over and over and over and over again is literally, truly like opening people's hearts, like disrupting that significance in love with a lightning bolt. Like, it opens so much listening, it opens their heart. And that's like where the transformation happened. Because had you not leaned into the significance and like from a place of like that goddess energy, right, and that inspirational energy, had you not leaned into it, then you wouldn't be able to helped him the way that you want to.
Yeah.
And I think that is what is so powerful about the disruption of significance from a place of like love, goddess, aspiration.
And by the way, like, and if you watch The Wizard of Oz, we gotta have empathy. Or you watch in oh my God, what the Broadway play that was the predecessor to The Wizard of Oz, you realize that the Wicked Witch of the West was once a good witch that got hurt and had pain. And so in that conversation, we could hold empathy. Like Dorothy might have needed to like, throw a bucket of water on the Wicked Witch, right? But the Wicked Witch was once the good witch, and the only issue was pain. So these people that you're dealing with might just be afraid and deeply in pain. Yeah, like afraid and deeply in pain. So when we're encountering these people, it's not about us. It's either acts of love or cries for help. So if somebody's in their significance, and by the way, Nicole is driving a vehicle up this mountain, and this is going to be quite an interesting journey. Are you ready, Nicole?
I don't know if you're ready.
Yes. Bella, do you know that we're seeing right now?
Because we're not, probably.
So we're about to go up this jungle road.
I don't have insurance on this.
Yes, there's no. Could you check Rob Guild, make sure we have appropriate life insurance is all paid up? Okay. So in it, there's no judgment, right? It's just that like the reality is that this could be because this person's been hurt before, screwed over, pushed aside, disregarded, and they could like make up a story that's going to happen again if I don't like keep. These guys are too powerful. They're going to take and kick me and push me aside. So we can hold empathy for it, but not succumb to it. You know what I mean? We could like we have empathy, but not allow the frame to control the outcome. So we're going to lose going up this jungle road. So I'm going to kick it back to you, Adam Gugino, for final. And we're heading to Clubhouse. Get to Clubhouse, your ecosystem partners.
Yes, confrontation to move through without avoidance can not only create abundance, but it can absolutely save lives and do incredible things. So do not fear stepping into the uncomfortable.
Because we are all blind.
Just learning to see.
Hey, what's up, Lily?
Just learning to see.
everyone on
Cutting out. Let's
Clubhouse.
go bring it home, Chaz, with some Katy Perry.
Yeah.
President of the New York Bar Association. We use just no friction whatsoever. Whatever they need.
Let's
whatever
see
they
everyone
got.
on Clubhouse for ecosystem merging.
You shot it